David was not born a warrior. He became one, in the hidden fields where no one was watching. Before he faced Goliath, he faced lions and bears alone, with only God to see. God didn't choose David because he was strong. He became strong because he was chosen. And so are you. Today, 7 warrior lessons from David. 1. Greatness begins in obscurity. Before the throne, before the battles, David tended sheep, while his brothers stood tall, trained for war, and walked among men of reputation. David walked the hills with animals. He wasn't on a stage, he was in a field. 1 Samuel 16:11. There remains yet the youngest, and there he is, keeping the sheep. Everyone else was seen. David was invisible, but God does his deepest work in places where no one is watching. He forms warriors in places where applause cannot reach, where motives cannot be mixed with recognition. The pasture was not punishment. It was preparation. So if you feel hidden, overlooked, forgotten, you are not outside God's plan. You are in the workshop of heaven. Some of God's greatest soldiers are trained out of sight, not because they are unimportant, but because their assignment requires depth that only obscurity can carve. If you feel hidden, you're not forgotten. You're being forged. 2. The anointing comes before the assignment. David was anointed king long before he carried a crown. The oil ran over his head. But then he went right back to tending sheep. 1 Samuel 16:13. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. That's not how we would write the story. We expect the throne immediately, the elevation, the recognition. But David returned to the same field, same sheep, same stillness, with a different spirit resting on him. The anointing came. The assignment waited. Your calling may be clear, but God strengthens you before he sends you. He doesn't promote without preparing. The pasture teaches what the palace will demand. Don't rush the process. The oil came first, but the throne came years later. The waiting does not weaken you. It forms you. 3. God trains your hands for battle. David didn't learn courage when Goliath appeared. He learned it in the quiet battles no one saw. 1 Samuel 17:36. Your servant has killed both lion and bear. No witnesses, no applause, no reward. Just danger, dependence, and victory that only heaven recorded. God put lions and bears in David's path, not to kill him, but to prepare him. The private victories you win today are preparing you for the public battles of tomorrow. If you're fighting small things now, it's because God is building strength for bigger battles later. Your challenge is not random, it is rehearsal. Every struggle, every test, every hidden fight is God training your hands for war. 4. What others fear, warriors face with faith. The entire nation trembled before Goliath. Seasoned warriors hid. Even King Saul shrank back. But David saw the same giant through a different lens. He asked, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine?" Everyone else described the giant. David described his God. 1 Samuel 17:37. The Lord, who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. He didn't compare Goliath to his own strength. He compared him to the strength of God. This is the warrior's mindset. Not the absence of fear, but the presence of faith that overwhelms it. Warriors don't measure giants against themselves. They measure giants against God. When fear says, "He's too big to fight," faith says, "God is with me. Whom shall I fear?" 5. Kings don't wear other men's armor. Saul tried to give David his armor, but David refused. 1 Samuel 17:39. I cannot walk with these, for I have not tested them. It looked impressive, professional, proven, logical. But God didn't anoint David to be Saul. He anointed David to be David. You can't fight in someone else's calling, someone else's gifting, someone else's identity. When you imitate others, you weaken your own anointing. Your strength is found in what God placed in your hands. A shepherd's sling in the hands of a warrior is deadlier than a king's sword in the hands of an imposter. Your victory is not found in fitting in, but in being faithful to who God made you to be. 6. Warriors run toward the battle. David didn't wait for Goliath. He didn't hide, hesitate, or bargain. He ran. 1 Samuel 17:48. David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. Warriors don't retreat. They don't negotiate with fear. They advance because they know who is with them. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It is choosing obedience in spite of fear. Most people run from conflict. Warriors run with purpose because they carry heaven's authority. When God sends you, you don't walk, you run. 7. True victory belongs to the Lord. David declared, 1 Samuel 17:47, "The battle is the Lord's." David swung the sling, but God guided the stone. David charged the line, but God delivered the victory. Warriors fight, but God wins. Your strength isn't in your sling, or your strategy, or your skill, but in the one who directs it. The story of David is not about a boy strong enough to beat a giant, but a God strong enough to use a surrendered heart. God is looking for warriors, not the proud, not the polished, but the willing. Be faithful where you are. Fight with what God placed in your hands. Run toward the battle and trust the God who wins.